This is what happens when you think you've known somebody for all, like I forget that everybody doesn't know Bob Beers. Mr. Beers, if you can give us 30 seconds of a bio for you and also what's going to be happening, as you've done this before, you've run these things before. Each panelist will ask a 30-second question. You'll have a minute to answer, but right now you've got a 30-second bio. Who are you, Mr. Beers?
My name is Bob Beers. I have an accounting degree from UNLV. I've owned and operated several small businesses over the last 35 years in the city of Las Vegas and was elected to the city council 5 years ago. It's, I have to say, the funnest job I've ever had for many, many reasons, some of which I'll get a chance to describe today. But that's basically the background. I am an accountant and a business guy and just having fun trying to keep my city on the straight and narrow.
Thank you very much. And we'll start first question with Craig Drummond.
First off, thanks for coming. Secondly, what is a priority or goal that you haven't so far been able to accomplish on the council that you want to accomplish and that you're going to try to do if re-elected to the next term?
Well, a city councilman has narrow parochial interests within their ward, and the specific answer to that question is we've been trying to get a bathroom on the Wallapai Canyon Trailhead Park for 5 years. I think we're going to get it this spring. But to the larger scope of my job, you know, I think I've been pretty successful at doing what I can do, which is stopping the city government from spending its money on stupid things so that we can retain focus on our core functions. That's really what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do if I'm reelected.
Thank you.
Mr. Beers, thank you for coming, by the way. I appreciate it. It's always nice when people show up. You know, we're not wasting our time. It's kind of nice for you to show up. So
It's a comfortable elbow room you've got for me today.
Just for you, buddy. Just for you. So my question is one of government. A lot of these governments in big cities like Las Vegas are actually pushing back against the federal government on several issues. What do you feel is the role as a city council member, and if reelected, would be for a growing city like Las Vegas to push back against federal law?
Well, I guess I haven't heard many pushbacks against federal law coming out of the city of Las Vegas outside of our state legislative directive on marijuana. And so I don't really know how to answer that in the absence of a specific pushback. 95% of what we do is the provision of public safety, which is fire and police services, and a jail. And then we have a significant road network and a sewer network, and so we're kind of the infrastructure people, and we don't often cross paths with the federal government. Go ahead.
Well, specifically, I'm talking about Metro PD basically saying that they're not going to follow a sanctuary city type policy, but how the policy is actually in place, or a policy like it being proposed. It's kind of a struggle between, from what I've seen online in the Revere Journal, was Metro PD and then the city government saying about sanctuary cities or soon-to-be sanctuary cities. That's kind of the way I was getting at.
So I would be fully supportive of Metro's current position, which is that we're not a sanctuary city and that we are going to comply with the federal government on those matters.
We now have another question that was from Tim Patera. Now Andre Jones.
Thank you for coming, Council. Question: Republic Services is currently the only waste management company allowed to handle residential trash in the city of Las Vegas, and has been since at least 1985 for 32 years. 4 years before the company's current exclusive franchise agreement is set to expire, Republic is negotiating with the city for an additional contract extension. Do you support granting a contract to only Republic Services and not any other qualifying companies? Why or why not?
So the provision of getting your stuff to the dump, which is the function that city government serves here that you're talking about, is one we're charged with doing by city law. And if we fail to do it, the consequences would be really ugly. And so for that reason, this has always been approached as a single contract, generally for the whole valley, that all of the local governments have agreed upon. The city of Las Vegas is the last of the governments in Clark County to renew its contract. And so to me, I looked at a couple things. First of all, am I getting any citizen complaints about Republic? And I'm not. I'm only getting complaints from the handful of Republic's competitors in the construction and demolition waste industry who want to expand their business. And I'm all in support of people expanding their business, but I'm really in support of crap not piling up on our streets. And so I looked at the contract knowing that I didn't have much in the way of complaints, and then looking forward, what are the proposals that are being made here? And they're pretty significant. The first is going to single stream recycling. I was a little skeptical. I thought it was going from 4 visits a week, or 4 visits every 2 weeks to 2, but in fact, now that I've been on the service for a year, I was a test pilot because I'm a councilman, and I wanted to try it. And I've been on it for a year, and it's actually better. The bins that they give you contain smells better than the bins that I bought from Lowe's. The once a week thing has not been a hardship, except we have to clean our refrigerator out on a certain day. We have to pay closer attention to that than we used to. The rates are staying effectively the same. There's going to be increases with the cost of living, but effectively the same, which remain amongst the lowest rates that people in any city of large size pay. And so for all those reasons, I'm currently leaning in favor of extending the contract when it comes before the City Council sometime later this year. As always, until the vote's cast, I'm certainly willing to listen to more information and more ideas that people have.
Our next question from Robert Faust.
Good afternoon, Councilman Beers. Thank you for being here today. My question is going to revolve around sports. There's been a lot of sports clamor lately with the stadium being built, the $750 million, and then is the Raiders coming? Are they not coming? I actually am going to ask you maybe a 2 or 3 part question. Number 1, is the city of Las Vegas getting played by the Raiders?
The city of Las Vegas is not.
Okay.
But the city of Las Vegas is really not part of this debate.
Well, it's the city of Las Vegas.
No, sir.
Las Vegas
No,
Raiders.
sir. No, sir. I beg to correct you. The legislature ordered Clark County to borrow $750 million. There was never a vote of the Las Vegas City Council.
So which brings me to my next question. Cashman Field. What do you think about that?
I think Cashman Field later this year is going to revert to city ownership and control. The city and I remain open to ideas of what to do with that. The best proposal I think we've currently heard is along the lines of give us the land, and when we do that, it'll revert back to the city should they stop the activity they promised.
Is that county land right now?
No, it's city land. And we will build a soccer showboat stadium with our money, and we will build soccer practice facilities around it on all the land with our money, and let's make a go of it. So to me, that seems like the best of all possible alternatives, and I'll tell you why. Years ago, the city started developing the Las Vegas Technology Park, which is out of Tenaya and Smoke Ranch. Finally, after 10 years, or maybe 20, they attracted 2 tech tenants, and it turned into a medical park. There's still bare dirt there because the city is the developer. Symphony Park was supposed to be built out and beautiful today, but it's still mostly bare dirt because the city is the developer. Cities are not very good developers. So if we do take possession of Cashman Field, I'd like to see it spun off to some sort of enterprise very quickly. Otherwise, it's going to remain vacant and really an eyesore and an attraction for bad people for as long as we own it.
I know we don't have back and forth, but there was just an article in the paper last week about how unpopular soccer would be here. Do you think that's really a good use of that downtown property? As successful as the Las Vegas Stars have been, with all the professional sports organizations that have been through here, that have all gone away, and Don Logan and Larry Kintop have managed to keep that out there and make it manageable and operationable, and it's a very, very nice program. Wouldn't we be better off to keep baseball downtown?
I don't believe that it matters to us if baseball is downtown or in downtown Summerlin, frankly. But I do think they want a new stadium, and probably will do better in a new stadium than they do in that one. Regarding the feasibility, all I can tell you is that that's more feasible than the city developing the land.
Our next question now from Rob Lauer.
There's been an explosion in crime in this city, specifically burglaries, robberies, homicides. What do you think needs to be done to bring that under control?
Well, I think it's been done, although I'll tell you in 5 years, no one's ever called me up and said, "Say, your city's moving too quickly, slow down." We just don't ever hear that. Here's, in my analysis, what happened. Our previous sheriff developed a policy that when they built up enough proceeds from the sales tax for more cops to cover the full estimated annual earnings for one policeman, they would hire them. And so we had a huge cash reserve built up, and we stopped responding to accidents. The citizens elected a new sheriff a little more than 2 years ago, and he implemented a new policy, which was more of a pay-as-you-go approach. And as a result, we're having so many academies that by the end of this year, we will have put the 350th new officer on the streets, post-academy, post-probationary period with a training officer. We're already seeing the results, although it's statistical at this point, so it doesn't translate to what you see on the street. But I expect that in 2 years, we'll see a significant drop from the crime levels that we recorded 1 year ago.
You have time for one more quick question, follow-up question?
Yeah. So, you believe that we need to basically take more people, train them to be police officers, put them on the street. I would disagree with that. I believe we need to do crossover and hire more detectives to go.
Rob, yeah, you know,
So
this
what
is
do you-
not a
what-
debate.
What do you? Well, no, I'm just asking. What
Well,
about
the
approach to
flow,
detectives?
the source of new detectives is patrolmen. That's where they get the detectives from. And with more patrolmen, you'll see more detectives. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm not arguing with you. You're right. We need that too. But I think that'll come. I think that'll follow.
I have one question for you as we're wrapping up and moving forward. From the time that you first became a councilman to now, what significant changes have you seen, good and bad, and what is your vision for the future?
So what significant changes since I became a councilman 5 years ago? The first is the city did not invest $50 million in the MLS soccer stadium at Symphony Park. Instead, we've taken that money and built parks. There are now 8 new parks, mostly in the inner city wards, and there will be 8 more built this year with the proceeds that we were going to give to the Cornish companies to invest in their project. Beyond that, you know, there was a great deal of tension that built up between the city and county governments. I don't know how visible it was to citizens, but not to belabor it, at one point recently the county decided that the city needed to start drawing permits to work on sewage infrastructure in county islands, which adds a day and a couple $100 to the process. And then when we had Councilman Ross running against Marilyn Kirkpatrick, it got quite tense. So I went over, I was a freshman with Marilyn, and I go back with Larry Brown to before either one of us were elected to anything. And said, if we can get the mayor and the city manager to sit down with you two in your office, do you think we could possibly work this out? And we did. It took a little longer than we wanted to, but as of December, we passed a series of measures, both of us, in 3 tranches that resolved much of the difficulties. We no longer have to get permits for the sewer, amongst other things that are a lot bigger than that. And I think we've now set the stage going forward, regardless of who holds this seat, after the election, to see some cooperation between the city and the county on really important things that got neglected because of all that tension, like how do we resolve homelessness? That's probably the biggest one where we failed to cooperate for the last 5 years, and I hope the next 5 we will be cooperating closely.
Moving forward, your vision.
Moving forward, my vision is to have the city continue to focus on its core responsibilities and not get sidetracked by rich people dangling baubles. That's essentially the theme of the Ward 2 election, although I don't have either of my opponents here. Both of them are advocating that the city taxpayers write a big check to some people who live on Queens Ridge on the Badlands Golf Course to buy the failed golf course and preserve their view. I believe that's not an appropriate role of city government, and am going to continue to do everything I can to protect taxpayers against that threat to our wallets.
Thank you very much, City Councilman Bob Beers. He is the candidate for Las Vegas City Council.
Can I get a closing statement?
Yes, what did you say?
60 seconds. Google my name and my cell number comes up. I'm very serious about returning calls. I'll meet with anybody. Got an idea about more to Texas at Metro or what we should be doing on our government sports activities? By all means, give me a call. It's 702-592-8822. Thank you all very much for doing what you're doing here. I've, as Ricky says, moderated this before. I have great admiration for the time you're putting in and what you're doing. So thank you.